All right, let's get this party started. I see that Aiken and Pootie Twang are already in the chat, and it's nice to see you guys here. I'm going to start out with a song that I created today that goes with the theme of today's show, Driving by Her House. This is called Drive By.
Driving by her house, 'cause she won't respond to my emails. She dwells in my imagination and paranoia gestation of the unmentionable. As I drive by her house, I lurk. I'm going berserk, 'cause I'm just like Captain Kirk. Driving by her house, 'cause she won't respond to my emails. She dwells in my imagination and paranoia gestation of the unmentionable. As I drive by her house, I look and I'm going berserk, 'cause I'm just like Captain Kirk. By her house, I look and I'm going berserk, 'cause I'm just like Captain Kirk.
All right. I'm gonna stop that. That's in the style of one of the personas that I have, which I've called Twilight Sith, here on Suno.com. And then I created another couple more songs, which I'm gonna hold up till later because I don't know how much everybody likes to listen to these songs. I like it. It gets me in the mood because it's just another form of expression about the topic of what we're talking about. And the reason why I decided to do a stream today is because, well, one is that I discovered another. I don't know if it was Pootie Twang, or I think it might have been Pootie Twang. You've been sharing it. The Pat Goodwin, Patricia Goodwin restraining order, and the one about David emailing her, I saw, well, I'll pull it up here in just a second, but if you look at the what's written, the reason why, what I can tell is that it says something like, he won't stop emailing me, and he's having other people email me, and that he is driving by her house and she's afraid that he's going to do something to her. And just the thought about the fact that she's saying that he's driving around her house. And another thing that kind of stands out to me about it is the email situation. David's always talking about how he's being emailed, and then and how he's persecuted by emails, but he also spends a lot of time telling people to go after other people. I can see where he incites people to start to target who he's harassing. Hi, Seren One. Hi. Nice to see you. Yeah. How are you guys? I mean, it's Wednesday. It's been kind of an interesting day for me. That's why I pushed the show a little bit later. And it is kind of UFO conspiracy related, but I don't know. I really don't want to talk about that right now because you only have so much time, and I want to stay really on point specific to why I decided to do this stream today. So I saw the restraining order. I did reshare it on my timeline too. So I'm going to show it here in just a moment for you guys. Okay, so hang on there. Just to show the receipt that there's another restraining order from a woman. And again, it's, she's talking about him constantly emailing her, as well as having other people email her. And then he's driving around her house and she's afraid something's going to happen. Now, today, okay, and I haven't seen, haven't had time today because I actually was working today. So, in the morning, I watched like half of David's video. And what's interesting about it is that he's not allowing any comments on this one. And I think that when David doesn't allow any comments, it means that he's really needed to get to say something, and he doesn't want to, take the backlash. And I'm thinking he probably knows that he's probably going to get a lot of backlash because there are a lot of people showing, like last night, Daniel Dowd was streaming, and I caught some of his stream before I went to bed. And, he was showing the documents that I'm talking about, probably better than I'm going to show it here. He had it full on laid out on his screen and going over these restraining orders. David has a lot of restraining orders. And when you watch him try to explain it, okay, first of all, let me just show you the, and maybe you guys already know this stuff. I mean, I know a lot of you guys are definitely watching what is taking place. But what I think I have to add that might be something to add to it, right? I mean, I'm doing this show because I feel like I have something to add to this. Because when I watched what part I did see of the stream, he was talking about a woman named Lori King and how this woman, Patricia Goodwin, was connected to her. And there was a death of a lady named Felicity or something like that. And the reason why I'm remembering it, because just recently I showed you that interview of Vanessa Bates, being on his show years ago about Max Spears, right? And so he spends a lot of time in the beginning of that show talking about this Lori King person and praising her, and apparently her death was suspicious or something. But I want to go back and look over that footage because this directly links what David, because apparently at one point it looks like he was involved with that organization, or he had some sort of positive experience with that organization, some sort of place where survivors could heal or something like that. Like, we got to go back and listen to it. All right. Yeah, here's the restraining order. Yeah, it is Pootie Twang. I found this from Pootie Twang's post. All right, and I reshared it on my timeline here on YouTube. And it says, Pootie Twang says, we got more David Shurter. You really need to stop harassing and stalking and threatening people. And, it's a protection order, emergency temporary protection. So it's not, there's different ways of getting a restraining order. Okay, there's the emergency temporary protection. Like, that is like you need it immediately. It's not, you don't wait for court or and wait for a judge to go, well, is this harassment or is it not harassment? It has to be something where it's immediate, that the person has to have temporary protection before the court date is set. All right. So, and usually they grant those kind of restraining orders if there's like an immediate danger. And oftentimes this is a domestic dispute when you get these kind of restraining orders, but it can be for something that is like a civil issue that's where you're not related to the person or in a relationship or whatever. So, and then here it says, he will continue emailing me, or get this bigger. He will continually emailing me or having friends emailing me, driving by my house. I fear he will come in my house and hurt me. Patricia Goodwin. And Patricia Goodwin, he talks about today being connected to this Lori King person. All right. And so I want to actually stop the screen share there. And I'm going to change my banner to fair use, because we're going to put David Shurter on. And just for a second, I'm going to play this other song. This one, I wanted it to sound like Marilyn Manson. And so I'm going to play this one. Just humor me for a second. Oh, wait. I don't have it. I don't have the screen on the right thing. Hold on. Let me stop the share off of my, sorry about that. And then I'm going to pull up David's video here. I won't make you suffer too long, I promise. But you might want to put cotton in your ears for this one, or turn your device down a little bit. Okay, I'm just warning you.
Driving by her house, 'cause she won't respond to my emails. She dwells in my imagination when paranoia gestation of the unmentionable. As I drive by her house, I learn I'm going berserk, 'cause I'm just like Captain Kirk.
Okay, anyway, interesting. Okay, so sorry about that. All right, so let me change this over here now. As you can tell, I watched 3/4 of his video today. Here's the video right here, but I'm going to go back to the beginning, where he starts talking about the Lord King stuff.
I'm doing this.
Okay, and you know what? Does he have captions yet? No, not yet. All right. Yes, let me check my volume here. Okay. Here we go. Let's do this.
One this time without any comments, because I don't really want to be distracted, because I have a few things to say. It's funny because I didn't even, when I went to bed last night, I didn't even know really what I was going to talk about. But this morning, thanks to Daniel Dowd.
And I kind of find that hard to believe, that he went to bed that night and didn't know what he was going to talk about today. I really do. I think he knew what he was facing.
And the stuff that he posted. In the last 24 hours, he's spoken of two people, my stepmother and Pat Goodwin, aka Felicity.
and again, he's saying Daniel spoke to them, and he's it's like he's fabricating this story around Pootie Twang, and other people have been showing this. Including, I showed this. I don't know. I think it was maybe yesterday afternoon or something like that. I posted this on my page. All right, but here he is saying, blaming it all on Daniel Dow,
co-founder, one of the co-founders of Ivory Garden. And it's funny because things just kind of fell into place for me. And it's interesting because they're trying to take my channel down hard. And if they do, those people who actually watch this, just go to my blog, davidshurter.com. You know, I'll start writing.
Okay, and you know what? I'm noticing some of the things you guys are saying in the chat, and I think I should highlight them because okay, because you guys know a lot about this. All right, so first, Pootie Twang says, I have the Patricia Goodwin files now if you want them. Yeah, I would like to see them. We should connect. We'll figure that out. All right, and then there is, John says Felicity is Pat Goodwin, a stage name, I think. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So wow, is she the one who died? Wait, I'm kind of confused here. Wait, is she still alive? Pat Goodwin? Yes, Felicity is the stage name. Okay. Patricia Goodwin is the legal name. All right. Pootie Twang says David is a criminal. It looks that way. It looks like he really has a problem with stalking and threatening people. There are too many people afraid of him. Too many. Conspiracy Archive says he was and he broke into her house. So he also broke into her. Not only was he emailing her, not only was he having other people email her, not only was he driving by her house, but he actually broke into her house. That's outrageous. He spoke at the first Ivory Garden. Okay, yeah, so it's Lori King with the Ivory Garden. No, he talks about this and praises Lori King. Is Lori King alive? I just feel like, look, it's Pirate Pootie. Another of the many Pooties in existence. I'm going to tell him that I've been getting all the paperwork and dare him to take me on. I'm done. Yeah. I don't know what that is. There an imposter Pootie in here? I think he realized it yesterday. Pat Goodwin is alive and well. Okay, good. Hi there. Hi, Aiken. Okay, so I'm wondering if it's possible to get like Pat Goodwin or something like that. You know, have one of us interview that person. It would be good to get some of these other people that have had prior restraining orders, and if they're willing to come on the show, I mean, I would love to interview someone like Pat Goodwin. I want to know the history of what is going on here. You know, it's. I mean, David gets more interesting every day.
This shit out instead of doing videos. However, a puzzle piece, it's funny how when you're reminded of one thing, everything kind of falls into place, and then you can see the big picture. And this is my prediction, my experience.
It's like, no, we don't need your prediction. All right. Like you're saying you're getting the big picture. No, we're getting the big picture. It's the other way around, David.
With the Pacific Northwest is that it is beautiful and the weather is amazing, but it's inundated with Nazi occultists. They're not Satanists. They use that shit semantic.
Okay, and where is this evidence of this? I mean, I've lived in the Pacific Northwest. I've never once met a person like this before. I mean, where are these people? I mean, I know that there's occultists around everywhere, and there's people that have, I know there are people that practice Satanism. But where are the Nazi Satanists? I'm just curious.
It takes to actually blow it all off. They're more Nazi than anything. But historically speaking, with Nazis comes the occult. And
no, that's not true, actually, David. The occult's been around since the beginning of time, practically. You can go back to, you can go back, come on. Go back to the pharaohs. Don't tell me that there have not been occult it's been around as long as Christianity's been here. It like there were occult practices when Jesus was alive, David. All right. It didn't start with the Nazis. Trust me.
And that's what I found out. That was my experience with the Pacific Northwest.
I have not had the same experience with the Pacific Northwest. I've been up there a lot. I worked up there so much that I almost lived there. And then I went and lived up there for a couple of years. No, it's yes, there are people there, witches, they're all just like they're living in Texas or the UK. Oh my God.
Felicity is a co-founder of Ivory Garden. It started off with 3 women, but one was dead.
Here we go. Okay, so wow, and he goes right from this is classic David Shurter. All right, when he really wants to like smear people. And by the way, whenever you listen to him talk, doesn't he look like every time he's having to convince you this is what really happened? These women, blah 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 blah. So now, first of all, he's doused the occult. He said these people are Nazis. And, I know that they're Nazis. I've dealt with Nazis. I live with Nazis. And now he goes, and by the way, these 3 women, Felicity, they have this organization. It's like, okay, so is that, how do those things relate? It's a little trick that David does when he wants to paint. I don't know. I think in persuasive speech, I think it's called like you're giving an injection to people. Before you get to the topic, you already spoil it. You already give a picture in somebody's mind before you bring somebody's name up. Even if the name is not related to that, a person's brain makes that connection, because why the hell would he be talking about it if it didn't relate to the rest of what he's explaining? Let's go back.
Nazi than anything. But historically speaking, with Nazis comes the occult. And that's what I found out. That was my experience with the Pacific Northwest. Felicity is a co-founder of Ivory Garden. It started off with 3 women, but one was dead. And when I came into it, that woman was already dead, and it was just Lori King and Pat Goodwin, and they weren't on good terms because Pat Goodwin took over and Lori was upset. I'm not saying anything that isn't just ancient history. Everyone knows about this. I only met Lori King once, and that was at the first trauma conference in Seattle. She and that Amber Volatin, who was a transsexual.
All right, you guys. So in the chat, because I have a feeling you guys know this. All right, what is the Ivory Garden? What is the Ivory Garden? What do you know about the Ivory Garden? Like is it like a trauma thing for, it was an organization for satanic ritual abuse survivors? Was this some sort of safe haven? That's the feeling I'm getting from it. But do you guys know any more about that? Colorado's supposed to have a bunch of witches. Yeah. New Mexico too. And Mexico. Pootie Twang says he thinks Michael Aquino used mirror magic. David knows no occult practices. Yeah, I think David thinks he's way more talented about things than he really is. Hi, Sewer King. My ninja skills are failing me. Yeah. Hey, it's good to be the king. I always say that when I see that. I don't know. I can't stop it. I was like, it's good to be the king. Mel Brooks. A running gag through several films. Pretty Twink says, I'm a person of color. What kind of Nazi would it be? Well, you know what? I mean, technically, too, technically I'm ethnic as well, even though my hair went white. It used to be black, but whatever. Pootie Swings David, to have supposedly killed all these people, knows nothing about blood, the sight thereof, or decomp of blood. I am a licensed phlebotomist and I know blood. David has never seen any. Wow, that's impressive. Didn't know that about you, Pootie. Okay, so let's play a little bit more. Let's have some more fun. Why not?
Well, this is
Oh,
Dr. Grande.
shoot.
Today, I will.
Damn it.
Handguns with 2 loaded clips for those.
Okay, wait, where were we?
Tenuous at best. With Nazis comes the occult. And that's what I found out. That was my experience with the Pacific Northwest. Felicity is a co-founder of Ivory Garden. It started off with 3 women, but one was dead. And when I came in,
Well, that's weird to me. It's like, well, who's the dead one? We find out why, but one was dead. Oh, okay. What? Is there a story there? I don't know. I'm feeling there might be a story.
Into it, that woman was already dead, and it was just Lori King and Pat Goodwin, and they weren't on good terms because Pat Goodwin took over, and Lori was upset. I'm not saying anything that isn't just ancient history. Everyone knows about this. I only met Lori King once, and that was at the first trauma conference in Seattle. She and that Amber Volatin, who was a transsexual woman, and their little entourage that was all around them. And Lori King didn't like me because I was viewed as Pat Goodwin's friend, even though it was tenuous at best. I find it interesting that.
So his problem, so far, just wait. All right. So the restraining orders from Pat Goodwin, but right now he's saying that he was her friend and really was against, Lori King, or Lori King had a problem that he was actually friends with the person who got a restraining order. So now let's find out why did he get a restraining order from this woman? Why? What happened? What'd you do, David? Drive around her house and break into it for some reason?
I may not have known that Doug Mesner, aka Lucian Greaves, founder of the Satanic Temple.
Okay, it's like Doug Mesner is his go-to excuse about everything. Now I'm going to bring up Doug Mesner, so that I can divert this conversation. It's all about Doug Mesner. I mean, and somehow Doug Mesner is responsible for what he needs to say next.
Lived 23 miles away from Algona in Tacoma for the 3+ years that I lived and went through everything I did in Algona. But chances are she did.
See, yeah, she's involved with Doug Mesner. That's where the problem lies. That's why he has the restraining order, because he's being framed by Doug Mesner, because they're doing these things to him because he's a whistleblower. He's done rabbit hole. He's exposing all these child traffickers. That's always his go-to. I'm being harassed by Doug Mesner and Satanists. And by the way, everybody else here, Sewer King and Daniel Dowd and Terry Joyce and Corey Daniel and Gabe Hoffman and Thomas Schoenberger, they're also all involved with it because this is happening, and they're just bringing it up because I'm still a little old victim me, David Shurter. Oh, righty.
I first met Felicity online because she was watching me.
Because I'm a stalker. That's why. I originally met her online because I'm David Shurter and I'm a stalker. I'm a cyber stalker.
With Doug Lucian Greaves, founder of the Satanic Temple. Because after I published my book in 2012, it was like a non-stop hornet's nest with that dickhead. Just constant.
David, you realize you published your book 13 years ago. I hope you realize that. It's been 13 years since you've come out with another book that you say you're going to talk about again. Or you're going to talk about whatever, not again.
Constant attacks. Constant attacks. And Felicity befriended me online and then convinced.
Wait, I thought he said, he met her online. So she friended him first? Huh. Wait. Is that, I feel like you said something different. I don't want to go back right now, but I feel like you said something different before that. I had the feeling that he contacted her, but now she contacted him. Okay.
Convinced me to come visit in Washington. And
she convinced him to go visit her in Washington. Okay.
All the while, my ex, who wasn't my ex at the time, was saying that I should go out there and actually look for property that maybe we could get for vacation, just so we had another place to go. And I thought, that could work. So I get out there, and the day after I get out there, my ex calls me up, says he wants to split up, and then ghosts me. And I'm with a friend who also smokes pot. So I asked Felicity to get us a bag of pot because it was like.
And do you notice that for some reason pot comes up a lot in David's stories? Do you notice that? Like, it seems like the culprit of his issue is somebody trying to frame him by getting cartridges sent to him, a la Sherilyn. And that was going to be, it's illegal where I live. So I was going to be arrested for it. And it's a felony. And then, or now he's going to go into a story about how the pot was laced. Okay. So let's continue.
Maybe a month before everything became legal. And so she did, because everyone up, I figured, So we get this. I'm going through hell because now I'm in a mess with a divorce. And 2 or 3 days after.
That's weird. Let's go by. Hey, go and meet this Felicity lady, because why not? We might as well get a vacation home. And then once you get out there, I'm not with you anymore. That's such a quick dump. It's like, why would somebody suggest getting going in and getting a vacation home if they were just going to dump them? That just doesn't seem logical either. People just don't do that, do they? Unless they're just being mean and cruel.
After we get out there, my friend who drove out there with me ends up calling me at 4:00 in the morning from the emergency room of the hospital. And they found him all beaten up at the railroad tracks, but he had absolutely no idea how he got there.
And now there's a friend, right? Where was the friend with him with Felicity when Felicity got the pot, or you wanted some pot? Like, now the friend is in a hospital. It's all over the place. But here, we'll continue.
It was just a bizarre situation. I didn't understand what the hell was going on at the time. But so my ex helped him fly back home, back to Iowa. And so
but I thought his ex ghosted him, but somehow his ex helped this guy get home. Okay,
I'm out there, and my sister is concerned because I'm not handling the divorce well. So right after all of that, she calls the cops.
Wait, he has a sister that's concerned about him? That's interesting.
And it was the first time I ever met Officer Gilbert Lenker. He was Algona, the only policeman that I ever met that I ever found worth a shit. Didn't have any power, couldn't affect anything really. Still a good guy. But he came and then said, just to cross the T's and dot the I's, could he just take me to the emergency room and have him look me out? And I was just like, okay, fine. If it'll get everyone off my ass. So I did. So they tested my blood, and the nurse came back and said,
okay, so now look what happens here. All right. There's a friend. In the beginning of the story, the friend doesn't belong in the narrative. That a bag of pot comes up, then he's like going crazy on the train tracks. And then he is like, and then somehow, why would a cop come to him and ask him to be blood tested? Like, there's a skip in the story. Like, was there a possibility that his friend was on PCP? Like, what was wrong with his friend? Does his friend have a mental condition? Did he do some other type of drugs? Like, what really happened here? But now somehow, and it's like, and they wanted me to take the test. And so just to kind of clear it up, it was like, well, was he going to get busted for something? And then they needed him. And think about this. How much time went by, after they came and said, the guy actually was released and sent home. His ex helped the guy get home. And now they're asking him to give a blood test. At what point do you think how much of that drug is going to still be in his bloodstream at that point? But apparently it is. And he's going to circle around and say that it's because he bought this weed that was associated to Felicity. See, okay, here we go.
So you told us that you smoked pot, but when did you do PCP? And I didn't have a clue what PCP was.
Oh, right. Okay. Like, everybody knew in the 70s that pot could be laced with PCP and you had to be careful. It was like one of those things. And trust me, David, you're in that era. So don't act like you don't know what it is.
Come to find out, what they explained to me was most likely PCP was all over the pot that we got from Felicity's friend.
Right. See, it's from Felicity's friend. And I was going to do his little point because he always likes to point because he thinks that makes his point more effective, more truthful. So it's Felicity's fault that he got this, and so she's behind it, and he wanted to, it was a hit against him because she's associated to Doug Mesner. Bing, bing, ching, 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 ching.
And that's the reason why my friend ended up at the emergency room, not even knowing what the fuck had happened to him, because he was also smoking that stuff. But
So instead, and this is Patricia Goodwin. So instead of dealing with the fact and coming clean about him having an actual restraining order from her motivation to get a restraining order is because she was trying to screw him over with some bad pot first, and actually made a friend go absolutely insane. Why was he with you? Like, who was this guy that ended up smoking it with you, and why didn't you go crazy over it if it was so bad? Like, this is so bad. This is the biggest like, I feel like you could take David in, like, if he was going to be brought in by the police and he was going to be interrogated. This is the classic kind of stuff that you see in true crime shows. Totally just made up story, doesn't make sense, trying to make an excuse about the fact that he has several restraining orders and he continues to harass people on the internet daily, accusing them of crimes, pedo smearing people, saying that we're trafficking children, doing all these awful things. We're actually, accusing people of being Nazis and Satanists and this and that, and a part of this conspiracy against him. And he has restraining orders for this. And it is coming out. David talks about how, like, everything's being revealed. Everything's, you're not going to like it when you come out into the light. Well, you know what, David? You're coming out into the light right now.
CP, but for some reason it didn't have really that much effect on me at all, if any. I certainly didn't end up someplace I didn't know where I was, all beaten up, and didn't have any recall of it, But that was just the first week. And but I loved Felicity. They always send me people. I loved Felicity. The Felicity.
Oh, now he loved her, and they always send her, and he really loved her, even though, like, she was this awful. Please, this is what he does. Look how he's looking up like that. Liar, liar, pants on fire. Liar, liar.
Problem with Felicity when I left was not that I was sending her harassing emails and all of that. It's just that when I get up and go, I just get up and go. I just go.
It's not like I was sending her harassing emails or anything like that. I just get up and go. I just get up and go.
When I've had enough, I've had enough.
Oh, when I've had enough, I've had enough. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay.
I want to talk. I don't want to have any exposure. I just go away. And that was the issue.
Okay. How does that relate to covering, to make an excuse for the emails? And you get up and go away, and you drive around their house and you break into it. You just get up and go away because you don't want to talk about it or deal with it, but you break into their house. Where's the logic in that, David? Where?
But who knows what she and the deputy Ryan Miller, Officer Ryan.
All right, now here's another officer that is corrupt that David's accusing of. If any police any officer, whether it be a sheriff, a deputy, a police officer, whatever, it seems anybody in law enforcement is also never doing the right thing, as according to David. They're all in on it. Everybody's in on it. Everybody's in on it if it doesn't go David's way.
Ryan Miller of Algona, who now I think he runs things. Him and Doug Mesner.
See, and he's associated with Doug Mesner. Who knew?
Doug Mesner was all involved. He was all involved in Tacoma, and they can write whatever the fuck they want. There's no 1-year-old involved in that protection order, and that protection order is.
You're right. They were 7. The baby was 7 years old. It wasn't written by the baby. It wasn't really about the baby, but the baby was mentioned and involved. And because they had a baby, and the things that you were saying about what was going to happen to the baby made them afraid, and it made it a little bit more serious, David. So, that is not what people are saying, David, and that's not what's in the restraining order. And I don't know why he thinks anybody is going to think that myself or the other people and what's written in the restraining order is what that is, because it's not. This is look at us. Look at, oh yeah, I'm in pain. I'm a victim. They've done this to me. It's not a baby. A baby didn't write the restraining order. No, but the parents of the baby did, David. The parents knew how to spell and fill out paperwork and sign their name to it, David.
You can look at it and realize what I was saying, that they were connected to Doug Mesner and the temple, or the Satanic Temple, is kind of a no-brainer when you look at all those videos, and they had nothing to do with the petitioners whatsoever, but only and solely dealt with Doug Mesner. And now they don't want you to look at that. They want to say that there was a 1-year-old involved in these protection orders, which in itself is stupid. But
no, it's not stupid, David, because there was a 7-month-old involved. It's not stupid. It's a fact.
Started thinking about all of this stuff with Pat Goodwin and Felicity and Ivory Garden. And because I hadn't really thought about that whole situation in a long time. She, like I said, is one of 3 founders of Ivory Garden. She's the only one left alive. And Lori King supposedly committed suicide the same Sunday as the second conference was finishing up on that Sunday. Lori King. And do you want to know how I know about all of this?
Okay, so now I remember. So Lori King's name is included with Isaac Cappy and Tracy Twyman and the litany of people that are victims with Max Spears that the rest of us are all responsible for. So he's really taken, here's a woman that he didn't get along with, and he's saying that she was targeted by these people, and that's what happened to her. That's wow, unbelievable.
Is because I was friends for a while. After I moved and bought my house, I was still friends with Felicity for a while. And she was the one who brought me into her office in her bedroom and sat me down and then video called 4 women.
Is it her office or her bedroom?
Who were all involved with this whole thing with Lori King. That's how I found out that Amber Volatin showed up at Lori King's house and took her down there. And then Lori King supposedly committed suicide, but Amber Volatin went all over and bragged to people that she was the one who fed Lori King pills. And Lori King just at that point just gave up and just fucking took him, and she bragged about it. Just like when they came in for Owen and bragged about it. But as it was, drove 2.5 hours unbeknownst to anybody, picked her up, brought her to her house, and then that Sunday, the same Sunday that the Ivory Garden is finishing its second trauma conference in Seattle, Lori King commits suicide at Amber Volatin's house.
See the quotation marks?
And obviously, since they showed up, the husband had a problem with it. Lori King, husband, who I've never met, must have had a problem with it because he was dead within a year.
All right. So there's more going on here. Oh, so now this exonerates his restraining order, because now he's taken the narrative into accusing these people of being unalivened by the Satanist group that we're apparently all associated to.
A year later, he was dead. And so they're all working together when I say investigate people, yeah, investigate.
And now he should be investigated. Now right there, what he's doing is he's doing what he did to Patricia Goodwin, by telling people to email her. What's the difference between him telling people to be for people to be investigated like us? Huh? Isn't the difference? None.
Investigate all the people around me. And I'm not just talking about Sherilyn and Glenna. Those are just two. A big one. Fuck. I'd look into the whole Ivory Garden thing. I would. That's just me. That's just me. But I've been, to be quite honest, having a dark night of the soul, because
Oh, I bet you are, David.
what I see is them just being able to do whatever the fuck they want. Nothing is happening. But this morning, journeying on the whole situation,
Oh, and now he journeyed.
especially with the thing
He got special powers.
at Goodwin and all of that, I realized a lot of this is centered on in the Pacific Northwest. Sid
Oh,
Seymour,
it's all about the Pacific Northwest now.
who was an acquaintance, definitely co-worker with Mike Aquino in San Francisco.
Oh, let's throw Michael Aquino in there. You know, he belongs there, right?
And it goes all the way up to British Columbia.
All the way to British Columbia.
And that whole area is inundated
Oh, the whole area.
with Nazi occultists.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Oh, David. Bravo. You weave it all in. There he is with his hands, trying to make sure you know. This is the truth. This is the truth, everybody. This is what happened. I didn't get a restraining order because I drove around by somebody's house and broke into it. Oh no, I didn't do that. It's not me. That's not me.
They're occultists. They fancy themselves magicians. That's the reason why Daniel Dowd is running around now calling himself American Witchcraft, because they're magicians.
Yeah, but that's what you say. You're a shaman. You're journeying. You can do things. You can psycho pump people. Blah 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 blah. You got taught stuff by Michael Aquino. Blah blah blah. It's the same thing, right? There's no difference, David, in what you say. I'm gonna take your soul to the dark side. I have special powers. I saw a video where David talked about how he can like make clouds burst and stuff, that he was like powerful magician himself. Please. Do you think? Never mind.
Oh, little gods in the making.
Little gods in the making. Okay.
But when
I think to me, if anybody thinks that they're a god or special or has special powers, I mean, heck, he's been ordained by heaven to come after us. Heaven gave him permission to do what he's doing right now and defaming and stalking people or whatever. That's the thinking that David has about himself. He's spiritually elevated and been given permission by heaven to do what he's doing. Huh.
I see happening, what I saw happen is that heaven is about ready to fuck up. This is what I saw.
Okay, so everybody's going to get messed up. There's going to be a huge earthquake up in the Northwest because all of the Nazi Satanists are there, and you better have love in your heart and blah, 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 blah. I mean, I don't even think that I even need to continue anymore with this video because we all know how it ends. Okay, but later on in it, which is, I did hear him say that Gabe Hoffman gave him not a restraining order, but a cease and desist. He did get a cease and desist, and he's like, "Oh, and they're going to take my channel away, and this might happen to me or whatever." Let me tell you something about cease and desist from people like Gabe Hoffman. Like, I don't know if what planet he is on or what he really thinks the reality is in his head. But if I got a cease and desist from Gabe Hoffman, I would I would be afraid, because that guy has the money to actually do something about it, David. But he just passes it off like it's just like whatever. This guy has restraining orders up the kazoo. Clearly not okay. And really, like what we were witnessing, he didn't even allow people to come into his chat because he doesn't want to deal with anybody. He knows he's being exposed. He knows this is when somebody, right, who has been grifting on the internet and also may not be mentally okay, out of control online, doing what he's doing, and being supported by certain other people and having other people share this content and endorse it. Let me just add that too. So there's people or interests who actually weaponize what he does. And if you think about it, if he really is not okay, if he is really because he does definitely look like he's having episodes, whether, I'm not a psychiatrist, I don't know exactly what's wrong with him, but there's a lot of paranoid delusion coming out about people and situations and what he thinks is happening to him. And in that dialogue of what he says to people, he's also gathering people and energy and things to have other people join him in his attack on his own imaginary targets. And yeah, that is suable. That is also, you can get a restraining order. Yeah, you can get your channel shut down. And you also can have people do shows about it and show the public of what you're doing. Because people need to be educated that this is actually happening to people on the internet, and it is not okay. And I'm going to share my testimony in it. It has affected my life personally. And not in a positive way. That is why I'm doing this video. Because we are allowed to have a voice and say about what people are saying about us, like David Shurter. A person has a right to make commentary on the harassment and the defamation and the threats that they're getting from David Shurter. That is perfectly okay and fine. But David goes, oh, they're talking about me. They can't stop talking about me. Well, you know what? When you can't stop talking about other people daily, David, at some point, we're going to stand up and say something, and we're going to point out your behavior, and we're going to show your restraining orders, and we're going to do commentary on it on our channel and on our social media platforms, and maybe even our own blogs, David, or our Substack, David, because I really think that people need to know that there's a David Shurter and there's more than one of them on the internet. And on that note, I'm going to play another song, and then I'm going to come back, and then I'm going to see what you guys said in the chat, and then we're going to look at this other video. Stay tuned.
She won't respond to my email. She dwells in my imagination and paranoia gestation. Butcher knife steps in, wearing my man bun, thinking I'm a G-man, dreaming the pig pen. Nobody has fun until I'm done. Oh, butcher knife stepson, wearing my man bun, another restraining order. Scum, whoa, whoa. 2, 3, 4, 5 hit whip. Butcher knife stepson, don't need gun. I will cycle pump you till you done another restraining order. Fun. Yeah, yeah. Butcher knife stepson, wearing my man bun. People say I'm scum, scum, scum. I'm done. Butcher knife stepson, thinking this is fun. Oh, butcher knife stepson, wearing my man bun, thinking I'm a G-man, dreaming the pig pen. Nobody has fun until I'm done. Oh, butcher knife stepson, wearing my man bun, another restraining orders. Go, go, go. Whoa. 2, 3, 4, 5 hit whip. Butcher knife stepson.
All right, you guys.
I will psycho pump you till you done.
I was psycho pumping till you're done. All right, so the next part. This is the third part of tonight's stream. This is like kind of getting we're coming to the crescendo, so hang in there, guys. All right. I pulled up that Max Spears interview of his mom because here again he's going to talk about Lori King and some of these other people, and I just find it interesting that the restraining order pertains to them, and I want to spend a little bit more time exploring that organization. I'm kind of fascinated by it, and I'm going to, before I play this, I just want to go through some comments that are in the chat. Seren said he likes the attention no matter what. Yeah, I bet he does. That's a good point. The climax is near, guys. I don't know. It may be. It may not be. I might disappoint. I hope I don't. I hope you guys will find some value out of it. Like. I think we're on the dark night of the soul right now in the script, where it's like it feels like all is lost, but there's still hope. That's where we're at right now. All right, so I'm going to play a little bit of this.
Hey, welcome to davidshurter.com. I am your host, David Shurter, and I am on awakeradio.us. This is going to be an interesting show today. It is probably not going to be easy for some people to hear. But I feel that the fact that so many survivor advocate leaders are being murdered.
I want to give a shout out to Max Weber too, by the way.
That this needs to be dealt with and pointed out and examined. What am I talking about? Well, let me bring up the case of Lori King. Lori King was one of the founders.
All right, right out of the box. It's a show about Max Spears. He's got Max Spears' mom waiting in the wings to come on and be a guest and talk about what happened to Max Spears. He's going to start up his show with Lori King. And by the way, I'm having a little bit of cheese and crackers because I got a little bit hungry. So, okay, here we go.
Of Ivory Garden, which was it is the largest support group for survivors, and I believe it has also been the longest. It wasn't the first, but it has stuck around through time.
I mean, for a man who claims that he's psycho pumped with Max Spears in the astral plane against people, he's got that ability. He's got that kind of magic. He isn't even. He's giving priority to this Lori King story. Now I'm wondering, was this when he was on good terms? Obviously, he was already in bad terms with Pat Goodwin. I'm thinking, like, when did Lori King end her life?
Lori King was one of the founders of that. Lori King had, I think, 3,000 friends on Facebook. She had been an advocate for years. She had done so much for the survivor community, helping anyone she possibly could. Now you can go onto my website, davidshurter.com, and that's
So she's a hero now, even though it just in his video earlier, he said she didn't like me because I was with Patricia Goodwin.
HURTER.com. I just added an index. It's in the pages above. It's the very last page that is above, indexed to davidshurter.com, and go in there and look for the article. It's closer to the end. The strange case, the strange death of Lori King, and you can read up. There is someone who was running around going by the name of Crit Thank. That I dealt with this person on Amazon. Come to find out, this person's also using the name Amber Volatin. She ingratiated herself into Lori King. They focused on Lori King because Ivory Garden took down a website by Jeanette Bartha, and so they were focused and angry with Lori King, and so they got her, this Amber Volatin.
So he's going on and on about this situation that involves Lori King, but notice that it's not the pot one though, right? It's not the.
It's over to pick her up. 3 states back to go back to Amber's house, then 3 states back to take Lori home, and then 3 states back to go back home herself. And I believe that this person, even though it's going by Amber Volatin, is a man in a dress. He's gotten angry because I have actually met this person in person at the first Ivory Garden conference.
He believes the person is a man, but he's not really sure. But earlier today, he did say that they were trans. Are they?
When he and Lori King rushed the stage during a presentation of Colin Ross and gave Pat Goodwin, who is the president of Ivory Garden, roses in front of everybody. And he has gotten angry because I remarked that he looked like a bulldozer in a dress. But they're running this Amber Volatin, and she went and got Lori King at least 4 times. 4 times that.
Interesting that he chose the word bulldozer.
I can see. And basically the last time that she got Lori died in her house. And coincidentally enough, Lori King died on a Sunday. That same Sunday that Lori King was murdered on was also the last day of the second Ivory Garden conference that was being held in Seattle, the Trauma and Dissociation Conference. They are actually getting ready to have another conference this next weekend, and it's igdid.org. So what I want to talk about with Lori is that I have a real issue with survivors, because Lori King has done more than most of you will ever think about doing for the survivor community. And when she was murdered, first of all, I know that there was a group of people at Amber's house that weekend, that you all were having your own little conference at Amber's house the same weekend Lori King died. That's why you're all being quiet about it. Now, I don't know what Amber, Crit Think, whatever it's calling itself, thinks, but let me make a suggestion. If you murder somebody,
it's like he inserts himself into every situation, and then if there is somebody does die, he blames people for being responsible for it. It's like he repeats this over and over again.
Maybe it is not in your best interest to go on the internet and brag to everybody about it and tell everybody that even if they told anybody, no one would believe them, because that might be true for everybody else.
Meanwhile, like, Vanessa Bates is waiting to talk about Max. Like, this is like now 5 minutes into his show, he starts his show and he talks about Lori King and the situation. Nobody knows these people. Nobody cares about these people right now. They don't, I'm pretty sure they don't understand what's going on. But this is like every morning, stream that David does. It's all like this, but now he's got new people inserted into the story.
I assure you, Inspector Bruce Turner, who is investigating Lori King's death now, believed every word I said. And then I couldn't prove that it was all over this website until Jeanette Bartha came on and admitted on Amazon, or it was either Amazon or YouTube. I don't know where it was on the internet. Completely talked about the whole situation and validated everything I said, which of course I took screenshots of and sent them to Bruce Turner. And so I am sick to death of survivors being murdered. And I see two things happening. I see one, people are either running around talking complete garbage about the situation, embellishing it and making it
like you, David,
damn joke, or I see the rest of you sitting by quietly entertained because you're not saying anything. Lori King completely disappeared. You can't find anything about her now on the internet. They have totally erased her.
Well, no, you gave it a different. You've given us a version of her. I mean, I'm not sure how real it is. I'm thinking not.
And there are people out there who know what's going on, who have remained silent, and in doing so, you are helping her murderer.
And he says that to people now, you remain silent. You're helping these people do this. If you don't go after us, basically, then they are not, their silence is makes them criminal. Like you're going to go to, when the disaster happens, which is going to happen soon, you will all also go underneath the volcano and burn and die in volcano ash and lava.
That's what I need to say about Lori King. Now I'm going to bring it to the next person that I want to talk about. And this one, that I want to make the distinction between Lori King and who I'm about to talk about. I'm upset with Lori King and I'm dealing with this. And I want to make it quite clear. Lori King and I didn't like each other. We didn't like each other at all. But just because I didn't like her doesn't mean I'm just going to stand by and let her get murdered either. And so
and where's this proof that this happened?
Yes, though, or the next conversation that I want to speak about is someone that I actually did like. And we were actually, we communicated, not very often, but we communicated on Facebook. His name is Max Weber. He is...
All right, shout out to Max Weber. Okay, so we listened to a lot of this here, but I want to go on and because I think he ends up going back to talking about Lori King again. Like he diverts off of it again. Hold on. I might be wrong. Okay. Canterbury. All right. Neurology. Maybe not. Vanessa. Yeah, maybe that's it. But I just think that it's really interesting that here we go, Satanic Temple. Here we go. Wait. BS, Mother, Rosette. Okay, here.
Fire in the end. There was, if I would have been him, I would have stood up, walked out, gone to the airport, got on a plane, and went probably to my mom if Vanessa was my mom, but he felt that he didn't have that power, and he did have that power. We all have that power. Every one of us.
Okay.
BS. That's exactly what they want. And why do they want it? It's not just one person. It's not just Jerry Sandusky, who was selling kids from the Second Mile High Child's Foundation and those kids to elite people. It was Jerry Sandusky and all of the people.
Okay, so now we're on this diatribe, which goes back to the trafficking conversation. And the thing of it is that I feel like he just used Max that way and just kind of like push him in. Will this happen? Like he was equating Lori King to Max to him, and now this issue's happening, and
he was selling kids for sex with his.
Okay. Anyway, I really don't want to listen to any more of that. I don't want any more of that on my show. Bring in Vanessa Weber. It's all about Daniel. It's all about David. Yeah. Nothing, you know. John says, I love it when he tells everyone off for doing nothing. But what does he actually, yeah, like what is he doing? It makes me sick. Yeah. It makes me sick too. I'm so glad that you're saying that, because that's the reaction I get from him. It's really sickening to watch the things he says, and then to put in this sort of exalted religious ability or figure authority or something. He doesn't let her talk. He says, listen to John B. Wells' interview because it's about wettering. He was wettering for 20 minutes. Yeah, he went on 20 minutes on his own diatribe about Lori King and some drama that nobody... Hey, Max Weber, yeah. That nobody cares about. Nobody cares about it. It's his legacy, all about his blog. Yeah. Because Lori King is dead. Yeah. All his stories that he inserts himself are about dead people. Yeah. And I think that's a really good point to bring up, John, because they can't speak for themselves. They can't say, no, that's not what happened, or that's not how I feel about you, or I really didn't know you, or everybody that he talks about, like Isaac Cappy can't go, yeah, no, Daniel Dowd really wasn't there. It's all a story. It's all a story. Yeah, it's his Messiah complex. It's so classic. I mean, right. They can't verify or deny. Yeah, no, they can't verify or deny. And then, there's always this, like to see him today, because I wanted to make that comparison, to see him today talk about Lori King and then go back to Lori King and hear what he said, 9 years ago about Lori King. And then to look up at the restraining order and see that that Felicity or Patricia Goodwin, who is Felicity, got a restraining order, and yet he's sitting there going, oh yeah, I was with Pat Goodwin, and that's why Lori King didn't like me. I'm like, why didn't these people really not like him? Like, he always has an excuse about why it's always somebody else's fault but his own. Yeah, I never knew who Isaac Cappy was until I never knew who Isaac Cappy was until David accused me of killing him. Oh, really? You didn't even know who he was? Interesting. Yeah, I never knew him myself, but apparently I'm part of the Dead Isaac Happy Club, according to David. The only person I recognize in the entire LARP is Terry, because her on TV with her crazy hair. Oh, wow. Thank you. Oh, because he's mean and he's a psycho. Yeah, he is. Oh my God. It's really bad. It's really bad. Everything is everyone else's fault. Even when David molested his nephew, it was the sister's fault. Yeah. Yeah. It was the way he was brought up. He was having issues. He didn't know what was going on. It was their fault. There was something always, like, there was an excuse for it, and he's excusing his bad behavior. He's excusing his bad behavior. That's the part that is bothersome to me. He has no accountability for anything that he says or does, or the restraining orders. It's all a victim. It's all his story. Oh, I know what I want to show you. There's one more thing I want to show you guys. It's all about rabbit holes during that whole time. What is Alice in Wonderland technique? Anyone know? Oh, yeah, he said that. They do the Alice in Wonderland technique. Well, Alice in Wonderland, it's associated with Lewis Carroll, and there's allegations that it's, he had an unhealthy love for Alice, or a not acceptable. I mean, like, what I'm saying? So, and the whole going down the rabbit hole, going into an alternate world, that going from one world to the other world, there's a passage of eating or drinking something, which also can be some sort of mind expanding situation. I think there's a lot of culturally, Alice in Wonderland is very much embedded in culture. I mean, just think about the Tom Petty video and everything. I mean, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Oh, wait, that's not what I want. Hold on. I'm going to pull up. I found something else, and what I thought was interesting, it had that Daniel Lee John person in it, and it's also an example of how David takes areas, like, for example, he's going to talk about Antonin Scalia, and he has this whole fabrication of him being this whole fabrication of him being molested by him and everything, that the Supreme Court judge. And he's talking to, remember that guy, Daniel John Lee? And he ended up, like, I put it here, he ended up being sued by Craig Sawyer, and he won a $4.5 million lawsuit against Lee. Not exactly. I mean, like, I've looked into it a little bit further, because I wrote this a few days ago, and today I actually really did a little bit of a deep dive into it. It's a bunch of people. There's a Timothy Holsmith. There are a group of people, and you know what? After I show this, I'm going to just kind of go over some of the things that I discovered today, and kind of highlight it after I show you this. Okay, but this I don't know if you guys remember this Daniel John Lee. Apparently, he was like a religious leader, or called himself a religious prophet. He said he was a Jewish Messiah, or a Messianic religion. And he would go to campuses and kind of disrupt campuses and things like this. And he kind of had this sort of notorious causing disruption in public places about it. And then a long history also, like David Shurter, of malicious defamation on the internet. And if you guys remember, right, I know that a lot of people got interviewed by him too as well. I'm going to do more, but I want to show a little bit of this footage as well. And this is from the channel Documenting David. All right. And the title is David Shurter claims Antonin Scalia tortured and art him as a child in Nebraska. And he's going to bring in this Hummel Park, how it all happened at Hummel Park. But there's like a folklore about Hummel Park just in general that if you really, my opinion, that David has now inserted himself in, which is also what he's done with a lot of things. Like, for example, Johnny Gosh or anybody, he's inserted himself into these narratives. And he seems to be attached to all of it or different ones.
Connected and the very powerful people who are involved with this.
So tell us a little more about how did Antonin Scalia meet you, and what was the context in which he started basically using you as a sex slave?
Anton Scalia was part of the cult that was killing kids in Hummel Park, and I have a video out describing Hummel Park. I don't necessarily suggest people watch it because I was so angry at the time that I'm very angry, but
I suggest people do watch it. I've watched it. It might be something that might be interesting to cover in the future. So what's interesting about this really is, I did a little bit of an analysis into the lawsuit between Craig Sawyer and Daniel John Lee. And also, I think it's important to bring up that David Shurter also includes Craig Sawyer into the narrative of those of us that are responsible for Isaac's death and any of the we're the worker bees, we're the ones who actually really are harming children. So even though, and I think it's interesting that David's being interviewed by a guy that actually was sued for saying those things about Craig Sawyer. And so I'm going to read a little bit of it here. It says, let me see. Craig Randall Sawyer is an Arizona citizen with a notable background as a veteran of the United States Marine Corps and former Navy SEAL, having served on the elite SEAL team following his military service. Mr. Sawyer established a prominent public presence, leveraging his military expertise through various television broadcasts and documentaries. His professional endeavors and public standing are significantly reliant upon maintaining a favorable public profile and reputation. In 2017, he founded Veterans for Child Rescue, Inc., V4CR, an organization dedicated to the rescue of victims of child sexual abuse. Sawyer's work is underpinned by a Christian worldview, which strongly condemns Satanism, satanic pedophilia, and child sexual abuse. His public advocacy and involvement in child rescue efforts have, as detailed below, made him a target of specific types of severe and false accusations. Daniel John Lee is a central figure. He's a traveling preacher, originally from Juneau, Alaska. He's known for preaching to college students across the United States, identifying himself as an evangelist Masonic Jew. His public activities include his sermons and interactions and are frequently documented, posted on his Rumble channel, and it's DNA Jillian 7. This specific Daniel John Lee has documented history of significant legal issues, including substantial defamation judgment and various domestic and criminal legal challenges, which directly interact with Craig Sawyer's legal actions. So basically, the lawsuit involves okay, so it says here, the case originated with Randy Lynn Erickson, acting pro se, who filed a lawsuit against Craig Sawyer and 2 other defendants. Eric's complaint alleged that the defendants had threatened her retaliation for efforts to combat human trafficking. However, Erickson's initial complaint was dismissed and without prejudice in March of 2022 due to lack of subject matter jurisdiction. Before Erickson's complaint was dismissed, Craig Sawyer proactively filed a defamation counterclaim against her. In this counterclaim, Sawyer sought compensatory damages, punitive damages, and injunctive relief to address the harm inflicted upon his reputation. The allegations detailed in Sawyer's counterclaim were extensive and severe. Erickson, often in collaboration with Timothy Charles Holmseth, and citing Jessie Marie Zibitar, I don't know how to say that last name, as a source, allegedly disseminated a multitude of false and damaging statements about Sawyer beginning around November 2018. These including claims that Sawyer was a human trafficker who arred a child and accused Clinton human trafficker, a pedophile, a child sex offender, and involved in a life of crime. Further accusations portrayed as a child artist and a serial killer and a contract killer, drug trafficker, a potential presidential assassin, and a founder of a heavily armed domestic terror group and kidnapping operation that was ripping people off and working with human traffickers. Some allegations even linked Sawyer to a U.S. Army and Hollywood police pedophile ring involving prominent figures like Harvey Weinstein, Bill and Hillary Clinton, and possibly then Senator Joe Biden. Erickson also falsely asserted that Sawyer had not rescued any children, a claim directly contradicted by V4CR's documented success of 23 arrests with 100% conviction rate in a joint sting operation with law enforcement. A default judgment was subsequently entered in Sawyer's favor, recognizing the veracity of the defamation claims. The court awarded him $250,000 in compensatory damages and an additional $250,000 in punitive damages, resulting in a total of $500,000. The court found these amounts to be reasonable given the nature of the defamation. However, the court largely denied Sawyer's request for injunctive relief, deeming much of it legally inappropriate or of little practical benefit in preventing future online disseminations, and also denied his request for attorney fees. Now, here's what I thought was interesting, and I think it's important to maybe even contemplate the level of destruction. Even though somebody can win a lawsuit against somebody, it still doesn't require the person to remove this stuff off of the internet. And it really, so out there, these things still hang about him, clouding his reputation, regardless if he got compensation for it. You see? And, this is really and if you want to think about it, it's in lieu of how what David Shurter is doing. Okay, so the best thing to do when you what we want done, for me, all right, okay, let's say I got a restraining order on David Shurter, and then eventually I took him to court and I sued him for something that he can't pay in the first place. But the real thing is I want him to take down what he said about me. I want him to correct the lies that he said about me. And I think within that court case, there should be a way to say, hey, require them to remove what they're doing. I think that it might be possible to request that in a restraining order and maybe not a lawsuit. I'm going to have to check that out. Because, because what they say on the internet is the kind of like what you would consider the assault, really, or the damage. The consistent nature of the defamatory statements made by Erickson against Sawyer, particularly those related to child trafficking, pedophilia, and alleged high-level conspiracies, aligns closely with narratives found with the 17th letter of the alphabet and similar online conspiracy theories. And that's interesting that came up in my search. Given Sawyer's public work with veterans for child rescue, an organization dedicated to combating child sexual abuse, he became a direct target for individuals who propagate such sensationalized and fake narratives. This alignment suggests an underlying trend where individuals actively involved in child protection efforts are subjected to severe online defamation campaigns, potentially funded by broader conspiratorial movements, potentially fueled by broader conspiratorial movements. The accusations against Sawyer were not random, but specifically mirrored the themes prevalent in these conspiratorial frameworks. The court's decision to deny much of the requested injunctive relief, despite a substantial monetary award, highlights a significant challenge in the digital age, controlling the spread of defamatory content online. Even with a favorable legal judgment, the practical difficulties of compelling the removal of widely disseminated false information, especially from individuals who may operate outside conventional legal compliance, remain considerable. This outcome demonstrates that while legal documents can provide financial compensation for harm, they may not fully resolve the complex issues of online reputation management and content control against determined online detractors. And this show's not about this case, but I just thought it was, I wanted to highlight that tonight as well. That is like from that was like from my Gemini. I did do a Google Gemini on that. And then there are like a lot of links to it, but I'm just giving you the overall Gemini assessment of the legal issues between Daniel John Lee and here's the links to it. Like there's a link here. I guess maybe I should show you like some of the linkage to it, so you know that this has links. But again, I always say on this show, if I'm reading something from Gemini, double check on your own, okay? And I looked at this right before the show, so I feel like I like to do this in a little bit more detail on another night. But as you can see, like if like what I was reading here, I clicked that, and then here's these links here. United States District, Minnesota. So it's all on the lawsuit stuff. This is 17th letter of the alphabet Wikipedia that was used in that. United States District Court, this lawsuit here. Also, just so you know, AI can be biased. So I'm pointing that out as well. And here's all the links here. There's some YouTube videos. Daniel Lee. See what that looks like. That's a different Daniel Lee. Yeah, I mean, like you have to look at some of the links because it will pull up like different Daniel Lees. There was a part in this where it talked about different Daniel Lees, but they said for this purposes, we know, we're going to focus on the one that's in the dispute with Craig Sawyer. It also did earlier a little bit of a hallucination where it incorporated other crimes with other Craig Sawyers with him and made a narrative at it that, like, yeah, he's a Navy SEAL, but in his background, he shoplifted a store in the UK. And so I had to go back and look at those links. I did look at those links and weed that out because I was like, that doesn't sound right. And I went back and then I went back again and I said, here, I don't know if you can see this. Let me see. On the right side, I asked the AI, are you sure the Craig Sawyer that was arrested for felony of firearms is the same Craig Sawyer, right? And as Craig Sawman, right? And then it gave me this whole narrative, figuring it out that it wasn't him. So right here, I guess I'll just open that. Yeah, if you read this, it corrected itself, but I had to prompt the. That's why you have to realize that AI is not at that other level yet. It's not. Okay, it's going to give you, it could give you a really good lot of information. It might be really good at doing a summation on the information that you're looking at, but make sure you're looking at it, right? But I think, like, it's in terms of their lawsuit and the people involved and how it happened, I think it's pretty accurate on that. So and I of course, I would advise if anybody wants to look up themselves, like if John was going to do a video about anything like this, about any of these characters, because what I find interesting about it is you have these, because it does mention the 17th letter of the alphabet, and I agree with that. I think that, the narratives that David is saying and the players that David is saying, right, are in some way, you can say that there's a correlation to it. Like there's Isaac Cappy is on the list, right? A lot of the things that he is saying, these people, came to their demise, Lori King, whoever, it all has to do with the narratives that became a part of that movement. And and that movement is still affecting our politics today. So I don't think that you can separate this. And I remember when Craig Sawyer became on the scene, and I remember how people, I think there was some drama between Fiona and Craig Sawyer and a lot. And I remember there were things that happened between he and Stephen D. Kelly. And, Craig Sawyer sent Stephen D. Kelly a cease and desist. And, there was a lot of people saying a lot of bad things about Craig Sawyer. And then, of course, you have the Arizona thing that happened, that was found to be a hoax. But look at the players that were behind that. And I know, I don't want to even say their name right now. Okay. But I know as I say this, and those of you who might still be listening or watching right now, who I'm talking about that played this. And there are those of us that have been around this and are, like for me, I've got some pretty close ties because Stephen D. Kelly was all up in that stuff. And I was dating him and I was part of his, I produced some of his shows and, I was on Truth Cat Radio and, I know how it happened and what, and where Craig Sawyer played out in this paradigm. And, there was another video I watched because I watched Craig Sawyer do a video about this. As a matter of fact, maybe I should show that a little bit just to give a flavor of it. On it because I watched it. Let me search it really quick. Craig Sawyer and Daniel John Lee. Let me just find it. There it is. Hello. Let's play a little of this. This is on a channel called Glow 4. I'm going to share the screen. Craig Sawyer talking about that lawsuit right now. Here we go.
Hi, everybody. This video is about Daniel John Lee's case for defamation with malice, which he just lost. And the judgment against him was $4.65 million. It's a great victory for truth and decent American patriots and Christians who this online defamation artist, con man, and
Hi, Raven.
my opinion, has been defaming wildly, violently, without basis, without any cause or provocation. Malice was found in the factual evidence of his case. So let's dig into it. This is my second lap of this video because the first one, I don't think I did a very good job, neither did my wife. So I'm gonna say this a little bit better this time. So Daniel John Lee out of Juneau, Alaska, began attacking me and others online. I first learned about him when I founded Veterans for Child Rescue, and we began running joint operations with federal and local law enforcement, running operations and arresting child predators. And we've got 23 child predator arrests with a 100% conviction rate. I'm a former federal criminal investigator, and that's why I work with law enforcement on these cases. All right, so Daniel Lee inexplicably began running me down online in these wild, crazy, hateful rants, yelling into his camera and posting videos online, presumably to cash in on those for clickbait, as were several other people at that time. Most of them have gone silent. There's still one that's very loud, and he's next to be brought to legal account. We have all of his antics archived, and that scumbag is next. We won't mention his name today, but his day's coming. Many of you know who he is. He's brought it on himself, a real psychopath and lifelong criminal, convicted felon, and so forth. So a lot of these people that are attacking me or the other gentleman on this case are pedophiles and criminals, and it's well documented. So right now we're going to talk specifically about Daniel Lee. So Daniel Lee was screaming into his phone, yelling all kinds of obscenities and making some very ugly, baseless, and pointless accusations against myself, against Doug Hagman, Russ Dizdar, and Steve Quayle. And all of these are good American patriots and Christians who are men of honor and integrity. And I know, without getting into a whole dissertation on it, they are all good men. And I know all of them personally, except for Steve Quayle. And I've only spoken to Steve on the phone, but he's been nothing but kind and generous with me. And everybody that I know that knows him thinks very highly of him. And as is the case with Doug Hagman and Russ Dizdar, they are fine Christian men, and I'm honored and proud to know them. So Daniel John Lee, DG, A Lion 7 is what he puts on all of his social media content. Began just screaming these horrible defamation rants, saying the very worst possible things against us and our families and our organizations. And I mean, just accusations of pedophilia and murder and just way over the top, ridiculous, inexcusable, fake accusations. So,
and just like what I just showed earlier with David Shurter talking to Daniel John Lee about how Antonin Scalia arred him in Hummel Park. All right, what's the difference there?
Begging us, taunting people to please sue him. He was ranting and yelling and begging us to sue him. So we did. And we brought the evidence to the court. And when Daniel John Lee, after all his online bravado to his followers who don't do their background checks and don't vet their sources, he went from hero to them to zero, because when he was served, he seized up and refused to even appear and even try to defend his antics, which were indefensible. He knew it and we knew it. And thank God, in the language of the decision of the court, which is on our website, folks, please go to vetsforchildrescue.org right now and look at the official court PDF document that's archived there, as well as with the court, dated June 1st, 2021, out of Stark County, Ohio. You'll see in the language of the case that Daniel Lee was approached by numerous witnesses online who tried to tell him his accusations and attacks against these gentlemen and myself were erroneous, they were false, they were patently and demonstrably false, and they provided Daniel Lee with the evidence that he was in the wrong. And it's painful to see that Daniel John Lee proclaims himself to be a prophet, folks, of all things. This guy who is breaking one of God's most
and David is proclaiming to be a shaman. Get the picture.
Basic rules from Exodus 20:16, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Daniel John Lee is literally making a living bearing false witness against his neighbor, folks.
And so is David Shurter. And so is David Shurter. And David Shurter is bearing false witness almost daily about Craig Sawyer as well.
In my opinion, you cannot claim to be a Christian, let alone a prophet, if you are making your living as a con man bearing false witness against good American Christians and patriots.
That's right. That's right. That is right. You're bloody well right. I hope you saw that. Yeah, you did. And you know what, Pootie? Is he still wearing his Chinese dragon pendant? Is that what that was? Sometimes it looks like he's wearing an upside down cross to me. It really does. Did you notice David made fun of the man Lico for saying invisible lasers were hitting him? No, I didn't. Right, I get it though. Yeah. Like, are you serious in going to judge someone else for invisible laser beam damage? She gave the guy he stole the eyes are getting blurry. The guy he stole the check from. Yeah, I mean, I got to turn the lights on here. It's getting dark. I started and it was daylight. Now it's getting dark here. It was a very, very hot day. It was a very, very hot day. You know what? I've been going for almost 2 hours, so I think I'm going to go ahead and say goodnight. I shared everything that I really wanted to share, so I'm just playing like a few more songs. Good to see everybody. Hope you're having a good week. Tomorrow's hump day. Stay cool. And stay cool. I don't know. Maybe I'll just play a couple of those songs that I made for David Shurter. Like, why not? Right? Why not? Because he drove by a lady's house. I don't know this, Raven, but there's another restraining owner, David Shurter, and the person's name is Patricia Goodwin. And she went by her alias was Felicity. We learned that tonight as well. And she was part of this group, the Ivory House, with Lori King, who ended up unaliving herself. And so one of the people, Felicity, had an actual restraining order on David saying that he was constantly emailing her and having people email her, and that he was driving around her house, and she was afraid that he was going to come in and hurt her. And also a conspiracy archive said he also broke into her house. And so the theme of the show, because this is like, it's been like, okay, another restraining order for David Shurter, because butcher knife stepson, because the last show I did, it was about a restraining order about David's own stepmother saying that he pushed and shoved her. And, you know, he's now done a video explaining why he shoved her, you know, because he was the victim. So he shoved her. So he really did shove her and against the wall. But she said that he would hover over, she would stand over her. David would stand over her with a butcher knife, is written in the restraining order. And so now there's another lady that is afraid of David, and David can well, if you want to watch earlier, I don't know. You have to really kind of, I think this whole thing with David is, I don't know who finds it interesting. I think a lot of us that find it interesting that when I go to their streams or they come to my streams, we're involved in it. But I'm not sure like how many people really kind of see the magnitude of I think more eyes should actually really know what David's doing, because it isn't just him doing it, and it's a problem on the internet. So on that note, I want to play some songs.
She wanna respond to my email. She dwells in my imagination and paranoia gestation of the unmentionable. As I drive by her house, I lurk, I'm going berserk, 'cause I'm just like Captain Kirk.
Yeah, Raven. I wanted to pattern this one after Marilyn Manson. And yeah, it's Felicity, also known as Patricia Goodwin. I think that's from the Ivory whatever group or something, the Ivory Courtyard. I don't know. The Ivory House. Okay, let me play this one.
Driving by your house, 'cause she won't respond to my emails. She dwells in my imagination and paranoia gestation of the unmentionable. As I drive by her house, I look and I'm going berserk, 'cause I'm just just like Captain Kirk by her house. I'm going berserk, 'cause I'm just like Captain Kirk. Driving by her house. Gosh, yeah.
No, wait, there's this one.
Driving by her house.
Yeah, that's the one that we already listened to. Yeah. Raven, you know what? I'm curious about Felicity. Okay, so Raven says, if it's the same Felicity, I remember she was speaking out when Isaac Cappy was, and I think he went to visit her. Cappy? Really? Huh. That's interesting. That is interesting. Well, I think I'm going to switch over. This one is interesting.
Driving by her house, 'cause she won't respond to my emails. She dwells in my imagination and paranoia gestation of the unmentionable. As I drive by her house, I lurk. I'm going berserk, 'cause I'm just like Captain Kirk. What's your knife, stepson? What's your knife, stepson? Wearing my man bun. Thinking I'm a G-man. Dreaming the pig pen. Nobody has fun until I'm done. What's your knife, stepson? Wear my man bun. Another restraining order. Let's go. What's your knife, stepson? Wearing my man bun. Thinking I'm a G-man. Dreaming the big pen. Nobody has fun until I'm done. Put your knife, stepson. Wearing my man bun. Another restraining order. Scum!